Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Applications Committee. Not your usual chair sitting in front of you. We are without a chair today. So as clerk of the committee, I will move straight away to an appointment of another chair from among the membership. Do we have a proposed chair?
I'd been happy to chair, but as I cannot attend the LRB, which immediately follows this meeting, I would propose Councillor Edlin as the other councillor in the chamber.
Is anyone otherwise minded? Very good. Councillor Edlin, feel free to take the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Burke, and welcome everybody. Oh, I'd like to move over. All right.
Councillor Edlin's just assuming the chair just now.
Thank you very much, and thank you for electing me, colleagues. Welcome to the meeting of the Planning Applications Committee. My name is Paul Edlin. I'm the chair of the Planning Applications Committee. I'd like to introduce the elected members present in the chamber. With me is Councillor Andrew Morrison. Online, we have Councillor Ned Ireland, Councillor Chris Lundy and Provost Mary Montague. The officers supporting us today are on my left, Julie Nichol, Planning and Building Standards Manager, Alan Pepler, Principal Planner, Development Management. Do we have, it's not, Jerry's not here.
Derek Scott.
Derek Scott, Planning Officer. John Burke, Clerk to the Planning Applications Committee on my right. Leona Allison on my diagonal left. I don't think you can see her if you're online. Assistant Committee Services Officer.
And John Marley from the Road Services also online.
John Marley online. Thank you. So we have apologies for absence, I understand, from Councillor Cunningham and Councillor McLean, both of whom I believe are unwell. Okay. Are there any declarations of interest today, please?
No.
None. Okay, business to consider today. Agenda item 3, applications for planning permission for consideration by the committee, report by Director of Environment. There is one application for the committee to consider today. 2021/0130/TP application for planning permission. The development in question is, as mentioned, erection of 5 dwelling houses, formation of access and other associated works. Site adjacent south of number 30 Broom Park Drive, Newton Mearns, East Renfrewshire. Mr. Pepler, would you please introduce this?
Thank you, Chair. As you can see from the papers, the application is a detailed planning application for the erection of 5 dwellings and associated works on land adjacent to Broom Park Drive, Newton Mearns. In terms of the report, as outlined on page 9 of the papers, a number of consultations were undertaken. Of particular note is an objection from SEPA on flood risk grounds. In addition, given that the site is for 5 houses, the Council's Principal Strategy Officer has advised that development contributions will be required. 15 objections have been received, including objections from the Broome, Kirkhill and Mearnskirk Community Council. The comments raised cover various matters, including loss of green space and trees, flooding, impact on wildlife, the design of the houses, loss of amenity, previous refusals at the site, and the submitted plans are out of date. I'll share some slides of the proposal. So the site comprises a former school playing field on its southern part and an unmaintained field with several scattered trees and shrubs across the northern part. The Broom Burn runs through the site, and as you can see, the plan on the left here is the site as existing, with the Broom Burn separating the site here. The Broom Park Drive is this road here, Windsor Avenue this side, and Loch Broom Drive along the top. In terms of the adopted Local Development Plan 2, the application site lies within an urban area, which is a mixed land use designation of a housing site allocation for 5 houses, as well as green network and green space allocations. The proposed site plan on the right shows the location of the 5 houses and the southern part of the site remaining as undeveloped. 2 of the houses that access directly onto Windsor Avenue and 3 directly onto Broom Park Drive. The Broom Burn is highlighted in blue running through the site. There are a number of policies of the local plan and NPF4 of relevance to the application as set out on pages 12 to 15 of the report. I won't go into these in detail. In terms of the assessment, the general design of the houses are considered to be acceptable and compatible with the surrounding area. The plan on the right shows one of the house types, just for illustrative purposes. Furthermore, given the urban location, development of the site in principle is considered to comply with objectives relating to developing in accessible locations which can reduce the need to travel and support local services. The other key considerations in the assessment relate to flood risk and the impact on green infrastructure, trees and biodiversity. The proposal includes the removal of 3 poor quality trees to accommodate the development. The remaining trees are to be retained. The proposed landscaping, which is shown on the left-hand plan here, includes a mixture of new native planting and a wetland wildflower planting area to the south of the site in this green area here, which is considered as a whole will enhance the biodiversity of the site. Given the housing allocation for the site and the amount of green space remaining, there is considered to be no conflict with green network and green space objectives. Turning to flood risk, pages 16 and 17 of the report set out the key issues. In summary, a large part of the site has been identified by SEPA as at medium to high risk of flooding. As mentioned earlier, the northern part of the site is identified for housing as having a housing capacity for 5 units, and this matter was examined by the Scottish Government reporter at the examination of the Local Development Plan 2. As explained in page 16 of the report, the reporter considered SEPA's objection and noted SEPA's acceptance that an engineering solution for housing development was feasible at the site. The applicant has submitted a flood risk assessment and drainage assessment, and the engineering solution put forward by the applicant is to raise site levels around the 5 houses to above the 1 in 200 year flood plus climate change level, and lower the site levels to the south of the site, out with the floodplain, creating an area where any displaced water can flow into if there is a severe flood event. This is termed compensatory storage. The flood risk assessment states that overall the development would create a betterment in terms of flood volumes within the site compared to the existing situation. On the plan here, the light blue area, the larger light blue area, shows the likely flood extent, with the other coloured parts you can see on the left-hand plan here, showing the areas of potential flood encroachment within the plots. The plan on the right shows the compensatory storage area, which is the darker blue, and that's in the southern part of the site, which continues down in this location. In terms of Policy 22 of NPF 4, it is noted that the development of the site is not in accordance with SEPA's advice, and as such, the proposal does not fully comply with NPF 4 Policy 22. SEPA have been provided with all the relevant information submitted to support the development and have confirmed their objection in principle. SEPA have stated that given the sparsely developed nature of the site, the proposed engineering works are not acceptable and that new residential development should not be located within the sparsely developed floodplain. Whilst it is acknowledged that SEPA do not support the development, given the local plan designation of the site and the supporting information submitted, we are satisfied that SEPA's position does not in itself merit refusal on flood risk grounds. The other relevant matters relating to development contributions, affordable housing and representations are set out on pages 17 and 18 of the report. Taking all relevant matters into account, as concluded on page 18, the recommendation is for approval, subject to conditions and a Section 75 legal agreement. It should be noted that given that there is a SEPA objection on flood risk grounds and the recommendation is for approval, if the committee accept the recommendation to approve, the proposed decision cannot be issued, as it first has to be referred to Scottish ministers who have the opportunity to call in the application for determination. If Scottish ministers choose not to call in the application, the decision for approval can then be issued. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pepler. So we now move on to discussion about this. Councillors, could you please indicate if you want to speak? I'm going to take Councillor Morrison first, as his hand is up. Councillor.
That's great. Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that, Alan. Listening to all that's been said, I don't particularly have any objections to this proposal, but it may be worth stating for the committee's considerations that obviously within this approximate area, two other developments of an approximate number of units have been rejected due to objections from education. I suspect that education provision has been accounted for within Local Development Plan 2, and that's why education have not objected in this case. But I would just like to hear that. I think it'd be useful for the committee to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. Yes, that's correct. So it's an allocated housing site, so therefore the number has been taken into account, and that is the reason why there's not an objection from education in terms of this application.
That's great. Thank you.
Do you want to add anything, Councillor?
No, I'm quite happy with what I've heard, and that's good assurance. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Provost, would you like to speak? Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. I was looking at the wrong side of the screen. Apologies, Councillor Ireland. Would you please like to speak?
Thank you very much, Chair. It's just a couple of questions. I noted that it was SEPA put in quite a strong objection when we were developing the local development plan, and that it was spoke about there that there might be an engineering solution that could be found, and that was why it was retained in the local development plan. When that engineering solution was looked at, was that looked at under the National Planning Framework Policy 22? And also, I'm seeing that there's quite a strong objection from SEPA here, and if you could just give me a bit more information about why that objection has been put aside. I do have another question on roads, Chair. Is it okay to ask that at the moment?
As far as I'm concerned, yes.
Thank you very much. I noticed that roads had made several comments which have been addressed, most of which have been addressed in the conditions that have been applied, and that's good to see. But there was one. It was roads had mentioned that the driveway garage arrangement of plot 5 is not acceptable due to the convoluted manoeuvres that would be required in order to park vehicles as shown, and also as this layout would encourage drivers to drive in and then reverse out onto the road that's existing. The garage should therefore be relocated to the southwest of the plot adjacent to plot 4. Has this been taken into consideration with any updated plans that are available? Thank you.
Mr. Pepler.
Thank you. Yes, so in terms of the two comments, policy 22 of NPF4 has been looked at, taken into account, and we have assessed it against that policy. There is the wording does say that if SEPA effectively are not happy or object to a proposal, then it's generally deemed contrary to that policy. The exact wording is actually in the report. So what we've done in this case is we accept that the wording of that policy, and for that reason, we have to refer it to the Scottish Government for a decision. So it is contrary strictly to the terms of policy 22, but given the local plan allocation and the information that we've received, we are satisfied that as a planning authority we can recommend approval, and it will be referred for that reason. The engineering solution, yes, so SEPA basically object in principle as a rule of thumb to developing on the floodplain. That is their default position, and what we've got here is a situation where there is an engineering solution. So it's basically, as I said, raising levels on one part of the site, lowering them on another, and again we're satisfied with that arrangement, given that it was examined at the local development plan previously. I hope that gives some reassurance. In terms of the roads issue, I don't know if Derek's got a comment, or perhaps John Marley on that one.
Anybody else? Any of the professional staff want to speak? Okay.
Yeah. With regards to the garage, yeah, we will look for that to be reorientated so the manoeuvres can be carried out in a suitable fashion. Whether a drawing was submitted showing that being relocated, I'm not. Well, in fact, I am. I caught a Teams message my colleague and he came back, yes. So the drawing was amended to show the garage being reorientated.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marley. Councillor Ireland, your hand is still up. Is that a legacy hand, or do you want to speak again?
I just want to say thank you for answering that. And
Sure.
I just want to say thank you, and that's what I'm doing that from John.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Lundy, do you wish to speak?
I don't really have anything to add, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Provost Montague.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, similar to Councillor Ireland, it was just a bit of concern about SEPA's position in this. I do take note that this will go to ministers for their decision as well, and they'll take into account both the officer's recommendation and reasons for that, and also what has been mentioned about the engineering solution and also compensatory storage. But I've got confidence in the officers in that they have looked at all of this, and that they are satisfied with the conclusions and the circumstances of that, and that they are recommending the grant of this. So I would tend to go along with this. There's the aspect of loss of trees. The report talks about poor quality of trees, but even poor quality trees can have an impact on the local biodiversity aspect. And so although there might not be room in where the houses are proposed to be built, I wondered if any loss of trees could be compensated by replacement trees in the green space so that we're not losing the number of trees. Could that be addressed, please? Thanks.
Professional staff, would you comment?
Yes, the tree survey identified the 3 trees to be felled as quality U, which is the lowest. So basically, they were either dying or not much life expectancy, or they had to come away. But yes, I understand totally the point that any trees have value. The landscaping plan does include a lot of new planting, including native planting. So we are satisfied that in this case, very minimal tree loss and a lot of positive landscaping, including a wetland habitat, which will increase biodiversity. So we are satisfied that there's no issue in that regard.
Provost, do you want to come back?
Yeah, yes, please. So my question was, the trees that had been taken away, can that number be replaced in what is remaining green space?
Yeah, yes, we have a landscaping condition on there, so we can take that forward if it's a request to specifically say, can you replace 3 trees within the green space? Yes, I think that's fine. I can't remember off the top of my head all the landscaping, but there is a lot of replanting. But yeah, we'll take that forward. That's not a problem.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Morrison, I think you'd like to speak.
Yes, thank you, Chair. All members who wish to speak have now spoken, and I'm quite happy that a lot of the points which have been raised have been addressed. For example, the important points around SEPA's objection, which I can see are dealt with in conditions 6 and 19, and also the increase in greenery and increased scope for biodiversity. I would be happy, therefore, to move to grant this with the conditions set out.
Thank you, but I'd like to add my comments before we go to that. Pardon me. I'm familiar with this land because particularly during lockdown, I used to walk in the streets in that area. And because I know it, I can make some comments about it, I think. First of all, you can't walk this land. Although there could be a certain amount of wildlife in it, you can't walk in it for some reason. It's all fenced off without an entry to it, as far as I know. And I would have loved to walk across it, but you can't walk across it. There's no path, nothing. It's just, I would call it in layman's terms, dead land. It can't be touched at the moment. Now, regarding the flooding in the past, there is a little burn or stream that runs through the land, and then it moves into a big, what's called the duck pond in Broome Park Drive, with a filter that then goes into another stream going out. Now, I have been getting letters from constituents about that duck pond almost one a fortnight, about the garbage that's been thrown in the duck pond or got into the duck pond somehow or other. And there's also mud, huge amounts of mud there that need to be cleaned out. And it's quite possible that the problem of the flooding is due to the issues with the lack of removal of the mud or dredging, whatever you do with the duck pond. But that is me talking in layman's terms. So as far as I'm concerned, it's always been an anomaly too that there are 2 houses on this land already built, as far as I know. And they've been there for many years, just adjacent to the land, that have, it may be on the map somewhere, that have been there for years. And I always wondered why there had not been building in that land, which is not utilised. So I'm very pleased to hear the comments about the flooding being dealt with and the issues relating to the flooding, the issues of developing the land, which quite frankly, from my perspective, knowing the land, I think will be a better alternative to the state it's been left in at the moment. That's a personal opinion. I don't know if I'm allowed to make it, but I do know the area that's been constructed on. Thank you, Andrew. So I'd like to move, based on the comments I've heard today, I'd like to move that we accept the proposal of the Planning Committee. I hope I've got the wording right. I'd like to move it. Is MD object or is it agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Okay, I've got lost this, I need to find my next page. I think we're on to local.
Just right to the end. There's just one item.
Where's that?
Right at the very end.
This?
Yep. So there's no vote, but I'll confirm that.
Okay, Clark, can you please do the roll call to vote and confirm the result and the committee's decision, please?
Thank you, Chair. So in the absence of any alternative proposal, the committee has agreed to accept the officer's recommendation, subject to the conditions laid out in the report. That will be minuted and go forward as normal.
Thank you, everybody. I think that completes the business for this committee. Can I declare the meeting adjourned now, please? Thank you. Now, are you leaving now? Of course, of course.